Well, good afternoon, and welcome to this week's edition of Drive Facebook Live. I'm Bob Spitz, here with my partner, Tony Whistler, and our very special guest today, Chiti from Millennium Transmission and Auto Repair in Akron, Ohio. Hello, Z.
Hello, hello. Thank you for having me on the show.
Hey, Z.
Yes. Well, thanks for joining us. You know, Z, we were talking yesterday and a little bit before, and I look at you a little bit like the American success story.
All right. Awesome. Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about your path to shop ownership and where you are today.
Sure, definitely. A little bit on my past. I started, automotive out of high school as a gopher and back home in Lebanon. And then I came here to the States for college education and worked part-time in different places in a transmission shop. And I fell in love with it. I love the diversified of the transmission, the complexity of it. I was a puzzle guy. I love doing puzzles, and I think that helped me a lot. Fall in love with the transmissions, and then I started doing work at the house in a one bay garage at the house at the old house, and I was like, man, I could make more money than I do all week. And then that kind of made me fall more to it and pursue it. And slowly, I got the guts and opened my own two-bay shop in 1998.
Mhm.
And that was a transmission only shop, right?
Yes, sir. That was a transmission-only shop, one-man guy, and put an ad in the newspaper. Who does that now?
Like, was it like real paper?
It
Like
was
print?
real newspaper and no internet, and then did the yellow pages and stuff like that. But most of it was going to different places, introducing myself, doing door-to-door sales, and try to sell what I knew. And it was tough. It was very hard in the beginning.
Were you hitting other shops and general repair shops and such?
Yes, that's why my thing is what I did most is I wasn't competing with anybody. I was just a transmission repair shop that can build. I'll come pick up the car, rebuild it, drive it back to you, that kind of stuff, that kind of service.
Yeah, that was very common back in the day.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
thought if I could do one a day, I'll be rich.
Yeah, if you could keep all that money.
That was my thing.
But there was something ugly called bills you had to pay.
That's right.
When I was at the house in the one car garage, that was easy.
That's right.
Right. Not a whole lot of overhead there.
No.
Well, then you did something that a lot of folks, they were afraid to do, transmission guys, and that was to expand into general repair.
Yes.
Yeah, let's talk about that transition.
Definitely. What happened is, honestly, is I remember at one point, calling the customer and saying this is not a transmission problem, but I can fix it. He goes, "Oh, go ahead, fix it." And then I found myself, I'm fixing automotive problems, engine repair problems, as much as I'm doing, and even more than I'm doing transmissions. And then I'm like, wait, there's something not right here, because it's there's more here and there's more here. I could do more in the automotive, and I found myself like learning more in the automotive as much as I did as a transmission. And then I knew like I have to change the name. The name was not selling it,
Right.
and I
Absolutely
diversified
misleading.
myself into doing that. And it was at the era where it started to shift into from the vacuum modulator transmission to the electrical transmission in the 90s. That was big. And I kind of fell into that. You have to know how the engine runs and how it operates for you to even fix the transmission.
Yeah, you and I were talking about that during that transitional period of a lot of electronics moving into the industry, and the vacuum being replaced with solenoids, and how Jasper was complaining that they were getting back a lot of cores and there was nothing wrong with the transmissions.
True.
Yeah, because guys were misdiagnosing and replacing transmissions. And then I wonder what happened when they replaced the transmission and still had the problem.
Yeah, yeah,
How did they explain that to the customer?
very common. That's very common.
Yeah, I know. It's it's not the industry that it once was. So,
No, definitely. Yeah.
but like we talked about, the secret to doing that transition from strictly transmission to general repair, number one, you as the owner have to be willing. You got to
Yes.
be willing to make that switch. And then two, having a good service advisor who knows how to sell general repair and understands that, because it's different than transmission.
Certainly.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. But you've got an ace in the hole because you have someone very close to you writing service, don't you?
Yes. Yes. Well, I gotta thank all my friends at Drive and the people that I met during the seminars and during the dinners, that I wasn't sold in hiring a service advisor. Who needs one? And
Right. Yeah.
it took about 2 years to get it in my head. And then after that dinner, after that seminar on Drive, I came back here, and my daughter was finding a job at the bank, moving banks to Cleveland. She had to drive an hour, and she was going to start in 2 months. I'm like, you know what? Why don't you come help me at the shop, answer the phone calls, and then in 2 months you can go to Cleveland. And she fell in love with it. She loved it. And I said, well, I'll pay you $1 more than what they paid you in Cleveland, and you don't have to drive there. And that was the best thing I ever did. That was the
Yeah.
best.
Yeah,
And
because a lot of shop owners thought like you did. Why do I need a service advisor, right? And
yeah.
I'll lose control of my customers and
Oh,
all of this other stuff. And then once you get one and you get away from the counter, you go, holy cow,
what?
why
What do
didn't
you
I
mean you're
do this
taking a
10
day
years
off?
ago?
Yeah, you can't
Exactly.
leave. You got to stay here. Yeah.
Now let me ask you this:
Absolutely.
since she was able to take on that role fully, and then you could actually be the owner and the manager, did you see a big increase in your
Big,
sales once that happened?
big increase, 40% increase.
There you
What?
go.
Yeah, unbelievable. Because I took things that I would not take, because if I took it, I don't have time to fix it.
Right.
So it is definitely, it all happens in your mind, but you're not aware of it.
Mhm.
But you're actually deterring customers because you don't have time.
Right.
Right.
And as soon as
Absolutely.
we met it, it was the night and day. And she never thought about the complexity of how bad it is or how crappy it is. No, her job was to bring him in,
That's
Mhm.
right.
and then
Yeah,
you have to fix them.
that's
Right.
right.
And then you solve
That's
that
their
problem.
job.
Solve that
Yeah,
problem. You got it.
that's right. Instead of like paring back on the sales. That's right. You just
Exactly.
you give an employee a task, and they generally are very good at getting that task done.
Yeah.
So they just
Yeah.
sell it, and then you worry about the production side, and then that's
Plus, they're
growth.
not wearing their heart on the sleeve like you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like an
Yeah.
owner. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, your coach Nancy says hi. She's watching.
Yeah. Hello. That's my buddy.
I always told this funny story. I was working with a transmission shop years ago, and I was pounding on him to get a service advisor, pounding on him to get a service advisor. And he finally did it because he couldn't get done all the things I needed him to get done as an owner, as long as
Yeah.
he was still on the counter. He never had the time to do the things I needed him to do. And he finally gets a service advisor, and he's going through his repair orders at the end of the first week. And he pulls out this one repair order and he looks at it. He goes, how the heck did he get that much money for that job? And he takes the repair order out to the service advisor, shows it to him, and says, John, how did you get this much money for this job? And John looked at the repair order and looked at his boss and said, I told the customer the price. Where the owner he just couldn't ever charge that much for the unit.
I know.
Right.
It's crazy. That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
If anybody ever resists hiring a service advisor, I'm definitely a candidate to convince him. Anytime I hear somebody telling me that at a seminar or at one of the drive, I'm like, no, it's a must. You
It
got to do
is.
Yep.
And once
Very
you get
good.
rid of it, boy, you don't want it back.
never ever. Yeah.
Not ever. So let me ask you this. Do you see your daughter growing into the management role?
Yeah, definitely. You know, one thing, the a positive that we do have that is being a family member, it's easier to give her that management role. It's much easier. And now we gotta replay it and find the right service advisor that as good as her or better that can take her role and then slowly move into the management role. And the exit looks easier. Definitely.
So you
Right.
see her as eventually taking over the shop entirely?
Definitely 100%. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's a beautiful exit plan right there.
Yeah. And
So
there's
is
a
that
lot of stuff to do. You know, I always fear, what am I going to do? But I envision consulting and transmission rebuilding, teaching. Transmission rebuilding would be an amazing thing to have.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
oh,
important
oh
when you leave.
yeah.
You got to have something else to do.
Yeah,
That's an important thing.
Yeah, because when you said that earlier, especially the modern day transmission, it is a puzzle.
it's a puzzle. It's difficult.
And you get people who really love puzzles and they love the challenge of solving that puzzle.
Yeah,
They would be wonderful candidates to teach how to rebuild one of these new
definitely.
units.
And having a good system in place does definitely uh, prove that it is doable. And it is something that we did at our shop. Uh, Took somebody with some knowledge in transmission, basic knowledge in transmission, and made him to be a builder in about a year or less even.
Wow.
Cool.
And so he's your main builder now.
Yeah, he is my main builder, and another thank to Drive because I've learned checklists, policies, and procedures, and I've developed policies and procedures and checklists to how to build a transmission.
Oh, that's great.
And then every transmission that you open up, there's a procedure for it, and then there's a do or die sheet that you have to follow. And then there's a steps of how to build it, and then there's a stop point, which Nancy taught me that one. At one stop point, you must call me, and I'm gonna come do a QC. And then you finish, and then there's a second stop point, and then at the final stop point there's a QC. So there's 3 QCs before you cover the transmission and send it out.
That's
Right.
great.
Yeah, you don't want to wait till it's in the car to find out it doesn't work.
Definitely. And then iPad and photos are very big in helping us manage and sustain that checklist.
Now, how do
Yeah.
you manage your procedures, like your policies and stuff? Where's that? Like, do you use
Okay, so when you're talking in the transmission rebuild,
yeah, or any of them actually, like any kind of
so
procedural sheets or anything you've written or policies you've written?
Are you using the playbook app?
yeah, I'm starting to use the playbook and we are recently incorporating our old policies into it.
Mm,
But what I did is in my iPad using using the iPad, forgot the name. I think autovirals, yes, autovirals.
mhm.
And so we made a checklist. It's called rebuild transmission rebuild checklist, and there's about 30 different points, and every point requires a photo of tear down and photo, cause of the problem of the transmission photo, sub assembly of the pump photo, and then there's 30 different procedures or points on checklist, and then the builder has to comply to it, and then you take pictures of what you're doing, of parts and pieces of the puzzle, and then they're very helpful in going back and do a QC on.
Great.
Well, that's exactly, we're very big on checklists at
Yeah.
Drive, and that is the way to go.
And
Just give someone a checklist to follow, because this business of just telling them and hoping they remember doesn't work.
nope.
Gibran one time told me something that stuck to my mind. It always did. He said, how is it possible that somebody can build a nuclear reactor or whatever it is, and he's working over there, you always see him walking around with a board and a pencil, and he's checking things. You know, if somebody can develop a checklist for him to run that nuclear device, I think we can make a checklist
To rebuild a transmission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It speaks volumes for the checklist, for
Yes.
sure. And you are a member of the Playbook Master Club.
Yes.
You have been in a few of those. And so how's that going for you?
Good. I'm happy. I love it. Actually, I do like it. I'm still growing in it. I've been to one of them only.
Okay.
And maybe, we need to do more than once a month, twice a month, maybe.
So you
But
gotta, you know what? I'm open to that
yeah, because
suggestion.
I wanna do more and more, but I think I can venture on my own.
Okay. Very good.
Not wait for that to take the next one.
Well, you
now,
should do
Tony,
that.
you opened up a whole different subject there. For those who are listening in, who might
Yeah.
not know what you're talking about, what is the Playbook Club?
It's a club of individuals who want to learn how to master the ability to use the Playbook app with Drive. And we get together once a month and people use the app. They check things out. If they have questions, they come to the meeting and we have a nice little informal meeting, very similar to the kind of conversations we're having right now. And we talk about things, and I'll get into some of the details and do a little training as part of it. But it's also about just talking about issues and what can I fix or what can we do. And then of course we're going, and then they just will continue to use the app between the once a month meeting. I can feel what you're saying about wanting to do it more frequently. And
Yeah.
there's a, we might be able to do something like that. But the thing that I want you to remember when you're in the club is just use it as much as you can between the meetings and take lots of notes. And when something comes up, just we'll talk about it in the meeting. And anybody can do this. You can come, and it's in the client portal for our clients. Our clients can have access to this meeting. We do it once a month. So that's the Playbook.
And if you want to
Master
know
Club.
more about it, in the chat here, there is the registration link for the Playbook Club.
Cool.
So if you want to know more about it, just click on that link and you can find out about it. Of course, ask your coach or ask anybody at Drive, and they can steer you towards that. I think it's a great idea. I love the idea of a club. Tony is the club master. He's the leader.
I'm the grand poobah, the old
That's right.
Fred Flintstone reference.
You haven't figured out a secret handshake though, have you?
No, but we're working on, that's what I have on our agenda for next time.
Yeah. Now let me ask you this, Z, because we
Yeah.
were talking about this also. What are some of the things you're doing to help overcome the parts situation, especially on the transmission side?
I know it's still difficult. Like right now, we have a transmission that needs to be built a certain way, and then unfortunately you have to go to outside sources and internet. There's one thing that is we do today that we've never dreamed of doing 10 years or no 5 years ago, is telling a customer it's going to take me 2 to 3 weeks to finish it. I would have lost the job. Now 2 weeks minimum for me to finish your job, and there's no ifs and buts. They don't argue, they don't complain, they got to live with it. But back about 5 years ago, it'd be 3 to 5 days.
Unheard of.
You will lose the job if you say more than 5 days.
Yeah.
So then we divert to to the aftermarket, which is eBay, internet, and other websites. But you know what? They call me Mr. Hoarder in the shop because I sit on things that collect dust and they don't understand the value of it till it's in my hand and I sell it. I said, look, I sold this today and it's about $50 and I've had it here for about 15 years.
Well, there's a fine line though between having valuable things on the shelf and having things on the shelf that are never going to move, right? And And otherwise, you need a whole warehouse to hold on to. You know, in the
I
old days, it was cores. Holy smoke.
course. I'm lucky. I have room. I got 50 cores outside. I got 20 cores inside. I got room. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
because you were saying that you can't even find those anymore, can you?
yes, this is the crazy things. Out of nowhere, you get the phone call. You're like, "Oh yeah, I can help you. I got one."
That's
Right.
great.
Crazy.
Now,
But
are you in the same building that you, sorry to interrupt, are you in the same building that you were in when you expanded?
yes,
Because you were talking about your expansion earlier.
yes, I was on the side and the back. It was a two-bay, three lifts, long building, and the owner owned this all of it. And then when the front moved out, I took a big leap, and I said I want to move to the front. I moved to the front, and he rented the side. And then when the side moved out, I'm like, okay, I'm buying the building.
And you own the building now.
Now I own the building. Yeah,
That's wonderful.
yeah, I love it.
So that's a lot of
Now,
expansion right there.
Yeah,
yeah, it is. Now, we were talking about making that transition from transmission only to transmission general repair and how important it is to have a great service advisor who can sell general repair. But of
Mhm.
course, you have to have someone in the back who really knows how to
Yes,
repair them.
yes. So now we're working on my lead technician to be. I want to teach him what I know to become the lead technician slash production manager, and that will take a big. But you know what? I've learned something also that I've never thought about is, for you to grow and become successful, you have to teach your secrets. You have to teach what you know, the good, the secrets that you know, the good things that you know. You have to teach it and trust other people to excel in it, to be able to hand that, uh, responsibility to you. And that's what I did with my builder. I promised him I will teach you every trick. I'll teach you all my secrets. I'm going to give them to you, and you can excel in them, and and then be who you are. They love it. They're so happy, and I think that's important. To make them part of you. That's
Very
very
good.
Yes,
important.
you're absolutely right, and I'm glad you brought that up because we call those secrets best practices.
Yeah.
And you work with technicians, and every master technician has got their secrets, their best practices,
Hmm.
and you've got to get them. And then sometimes they're not willing to share them,
Yeah.
but you've got to get them to share those for the good of the company.
Yes.
Because if they leave without sharing them, all that knowledge goes with them.
That's the truth. I saw that happen.
I know.
Yeah.
And it's like, how did he used to do that?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
And that's another nice part of the playbook app is you can put your best practices in there, and then they're there. They're not
Yeah.
lost.
Yeah. Yep. I definitely understand. Yeah, it is something.
Yeah, lost technology has been a problem in every industry since the beginning of time. Try to
Right.
find a good silversmith.
Yeah. That's
I was looking for one the other day.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah,
is a point that you have to, I mean, it is for you to become successful, you have to have successful people that are around you, and
that's right.
you gotta build that success, and you have to build trust, and I think they value that and they stick with you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then that helps everybody too. Like I know that maybe a master technician says, I don't know if I want to, give this away. But then of course there's going to be things that he'll learn from other people that
Yeah.
he probably didn't know. And then then you're a team and you're all like helping each other and you use the power of that team and the
Exactly.
the brain trust, as it were.
And what's nice is when you develop, when with my technician, with my builder now, we're fine tuning the policies. We're fine tuning those checklists. We're gonna make it perfected. So if he has to do a life change or do something, hey, those are mine. They're still with us, and the next guy will be faster to train.
Yeah, that's intellectual property.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears a little bit, what are you doing these days marketing wise to market the shop?
You know what? That's so crazy. We were talking, me and Nancy, yesterday about it, and because I have not done much marketing other than Google Ads. for the past 4 years. You know, but now I see a little bit shift. It's weird. I do see a shift. The phone is not ringing as much as it did. There's a little bit down in new customer. So I don't know. I think we're gonna go back uh, to maybe mailers. Texting is always good, you know, but it's not the same as when you need it in your hand, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, depending on the demographics of your area, you
Yeah,
take baby boomers like me, I still check my mailbox every day.
yeah,
So
Me too.
direct mail works if you've got the right demographics.
yes.
Now, I did
And,
a
you know,
survey years ago of younger people, and they didn't check their mailbox every day. There
no,
were some who never checked their mailbox,
that's true. Yeah.
but us
Right.
baby boomers, we still do that.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, we do have a power, like we got good database, and we also have, you know, the Facebook, the multimedia, you know, that kind of stuff. It's not bad. You know, it's not bad because I might go back to we used to do a raffle, uh, like Thanksgiving raffle.
Oh,
Uh,
that's a good idea.
you know, and they loved it. They loved it. You know, just come on in, and then we would do a video. We would pull a name, and people loved it. It brought a lot of attention and a lot of talk. And we were not given no percentage off, nothing. It was just we were talking about, you know, just fun parts and raffle, and people loved it. And we
Yeah.
did it for about 3 weeks before the event, and then we'll pull a name, and they win a turkey or they win a whole bunch of Thanksgiving stuff in a big
Great.
basket.
Yeah, it's community fun.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the other thing that does also work this time of year is doing something for the community,
Yeah.
where you're raising money for a homeless shelter or a women's clinic or
Cancer.
any other nonprofit organization.
Hmm.
That
Mhm.
brings a lot of attention to you, and it shows that you're giving back to the community.
They love it. Yeah, it's very important. It's part of who we should be. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. So, okay, let's get out the crystal ball, Z. It's 5 years from now. What does everything look like?
Okay. 5 years from now, you're gonna find me somewhere in Nevada desert in a trailer. Me and my wife looking for gold and looking for precious metal. And this is the buckle I'm gonna be wearing.
There you go,
Nice.
prospector.
Very good. Very good.
That's what I do. That's what I do every year for about 2 weeks a year.
Well, there you
Is
go.
that
So
right?
so you live that dream once you've gotten fully into stage 4, and
I love it.
that's awesome.
Yep.
That's what I see myself in 5 years, and my daughter is running the shop.
That's awesome.
Well,
We are
that's
getting
great.
close. We're about 2 minutes out.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, the announcement next week. I just want to make an announcement about next week. Next week on our Facebook live show, we have an old friend of mine that's going to be on, and that's Adam Jadovitz of A&M Automotive in California. So he'll be on with his manager, and we're going to be talking about that transition from ownership to managers and managers taking over. And I think that'll be a great show.
I
It's
think
I've known
I
Adam a long time.
and his consultant, Carla, will be with us as well.
Oh yeah, Carla will be
And
joining us.
yes, and just to let everyone know, Brittany is his manager, service advisor, manager person, and I've known her since I think her first workshop with Drive. So she's been around a while, and she's very well connected to Drive and does a lot of workshops, does a lot of training for Adam, and they're a great team. And it's going to be great to have all three of them on next Friday.
Yeah. All right. Well, Z, I wish you
Yeah.
nothing but continued success. I love your story, and and very well done. And
Thank you.
let's look for that gold mine in the future. And
You got it. I'm looking for it.
so, thanks for joining us today. Once again, this is Bob Spitz with Drive and our Drive Facebook Live show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and
Thank you.
we'll see you next week.
See
Thank
you
you for
next
the
week.
opportunity. Thank you very much.
Thank
Okay,
you.
we'll see you.